Because he's 18 years old? Are you his mama or daddy?
Nope.
Any of y'all?
No.
Then it ain't your business. It don't matter. He's over 18. He's a big boy.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. A video from June of 2022 shows the events that took place outside of a popular nightclub, Midnight Rodeo, in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It begins as a man is arrested and his friends asking what he was being locked up for.
Give me fucking badge.
1361. My name's Ryan.
Fucking fish?
Yeah.
Ben, that's what's up.
Sir, bro, hell no.
Back up.
Why y'all arresting him?
Why are you arresting him? It's nobody's business. It's our business. No, it ain't. You want to go to jail?
No, we don't want to.
Okay, because he's 18 years old. Are you his mama or daddy?
Nope.
Any of y'all?
No,
then it ain't your business. It don't matter. He's over 18. He's a big boy.
Where are they taking him right now?
None of your business.
Where are they taking him right
None of your
now?
business. None of your business. What is he doing? What did he do?
Most statists will argue a point similar to what Officer Tucker Harris is screeching at the crowd, but the opposite is true. All arrests must be public record. If state officials use police powers to seize a person, the information must be accessible to ensure accountability. At a bare minimum, information concerning who was arrested, what their charges are, and where they are being held is important information to make immediately available. Doing so allows the public and press to look for patterns or biases in arrests. It also ensures that persons such as myself, who are vocal about corruption in law enforcement, don't simply disappear. It's worth noting that certain details of an arrest might be withheld temporarily for various reasons, such as an ongoing investigation, protection of witnesses, or concerns about compromising future court proceedings. But Officer Harris's claim that the arrest of a person's friend is none of their business is not only dead wrong. If he truly believes it, his statement is deeply disturbing. But as we'll see here, Officer Harris likely hasn't thought this one out, and is arguing with a crowd that he should be ignoring to better carry out his duties. Instead, he allows his ego to get the best of him.
None of your business.
What did he do though? We want to know what he did. We want to know what he did. We want to know why. So we can't know what happened? What? Why? Where's he headed right now?
For what?
Turn around, put your fucking hands behind your back.
For daring to yet again ask a question that Officer Harris had proclaimed
What happened? What? Why? Where's he headed right now?
For what?
Turn around, put your fucking hands behind your back.
for daring to yet again ask a question that Officer Harris had proclaimed numerous times was none of this young man's business. He is picked up and slammed to the ground by a man nearly twice his size and placed under arrest. Replaying the audio shows that Officer Harris tells the man, "You can read the report."
We want to know what he did.
To which the man replies, "All right, bet," as Officer Harris turns to walk away.
We want to know what he did. We want to know why.
The man's voice can be heard through the chatter of the crowd, but it is unclear what exactly he said.
So we can't know what happened? What? Why? Where's he headed right now?
What we do know is that sticks and stones will break your bones, and so will Officer Harris if you hurt his feelings. In his report, Officer Harris writes that he had to take his attention off the first arrestee because Nick was being too loud, but the video shows that the first arrestee was complying with the single officer, handling him as he was being led to a patrol car.
It's nobody's business. It's our business. No, it ain't. You want to go to jail? No, we don't want to. Okay.
The report continues to say that he kept telling Nick that it was none of his business and that he needed to walk away. As discussed previously, that first portion of his statement is incorrect, and upon further review, the second portion is a lie. Nick was not told to leave the incident location at any point of the video prior to this arrest.
Because he's 18 years old? Are you his mama or daddy?
Nope.
Any of y'all? Then it ain't your business.
The officer further embellished his report by claiming that the entire time he spent screeching at Nick, he was having to take his eyes off the guy that wasn't there anymore, and that a crowd was now forming. But the reason that they were there in the first place was because there was already a crowd. It had already been formed. Next, he writes that he informed Nick to place his hands behind his back, and that when he grabbed Nick, he tried to pull away, and so he took Nick to the ground.
We want to know what he did. We want to know why. So we can't know what happened? Where's he headed right now?
But when played frame by frame, it's clear that Nick's arms are limp and at his sides, and that his movements were forced by Officer Harris. Nick didn't resist arrest, but if he did, what exactly was he under arrest for? Officer Harris continues his untruthful recollection by claiming that Nick refused to put his hands behind his back, even though the officers were not applying pressure to Nick's arms. In the video, we can hear Nick telling the officers, who appear to weigh hundreds of pounds more than the small-framed man, that he couldn't, because Harris had straddled Nick while grinding his face into the pavement, and simultaneously, Officer Trout controlled his other arm and pushed his weight onto his back. Couldn't, because Harris had straddled Nick. While grinding his face into the pavement, and simultaneously, Officer Trout controlled his other arm and pushed his weight onto his back. We can then see Officer Harris adjust his mount and sit up, and it was at that moment that Nick's arm immediately snaps back to the small of his back. Nick was charged with public intoxication, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. But the video made its way to social media, and the department issued a statement that they were aware and very concerned about the use of force incident, and that upon learning of it, they began an investigation into the level of force used by the officers. Harris was granted a paid vacation, pending an update once the investigation had concluded. Afterward, despite records from requests, the department never released their videos. But about a week after the incident, the department updated their earlier post and edited it to say that the investigation by Lieutenant Waterworth had concluded, and that because Officer Harris had failed to activate his body cam, he would be placed on a 22-hour unpaid vacation immediately following his paid vacation, and that he would receive further training on de-escalation and use of force. There were no charges for the officer's unnecessary violence, despite it appearing from the report that he wasn't even on duty at the time of the incident. Officer Tucker Harris was working security for the nightclub. In fact, both officers were praised the day after Officer Harris's suspension ended, and luckily for Nick, the department eventually requested that Nick's charges be dropped. I've looked everywhere, and it doesn't appear that Nick has filed a lawsuit against Officer Harris, but the statute of limitations has not passed. Officer Harris had just been promoted to K-9, with only 3 years of experience at the time of this incident. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. How many lies should an officer be allowed to make on an official document before they're barred from working in law enforcement?
Give me a fucking badge number in your name.
1361. My name's Ryan.
Fish.
Yeah.
Bet. That's what's up. High five.
Sir, bro, hell no.
Back up.
Why y'all arresting me?
Okay, why are you arresting me? It's nobody's business. It's our business. No, it ain't. You want to go to jail?
Sir, no, we don't want to.
Okay, because he's 18 years old. Are you his mom or daddy?
Nope.
Any of y'all?
No,
then it ain't your business. It don't matter. He's over 18. He's a big boy.
Why are they taking him right now?
Big boy. None of your business.
Why are they taking him right
None of
now?
your business. None of your business. None of your business.
What did he do though? We want to know what he did. We want to know what he did. We want to know why. So we can't know what happened? What? Where's he headed right now?
For what? For
Turn around, put your fucking hands behind your
Bro, I got that on video.
back. Back up. I got it on video.
No doubt.
Turn up, put your hands behind your back.
Bro.
Put your hands behind your back.